All right, what's up, everybody? Back with another video. I found this one just now because I was about to do a talk about how society conditions men. And I found this video. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like 8 minutes, a channel called A Peaceful Life. So I'll leave the link in the description so you can go to the original video and look at more from this channel if you want to. But I found this right before I was about to do mine, and it's called This Society Has Conditioned Men to Accept Mental, Physical, and Financial Abuse. And that's exactly what I was about to talk about too. So I figured I'll just go ahead and react to what this person says. So let's go ahead and check out this video.
I'm out doing my morning walk this morning, and one of the things I wanted to discuss is that the situation, how we have conditioned men in this society to accept abuse, to be victims of abuse, and to accept torture, whether it be mentally with humiliation rituals, physically with assault, or financially with financial abuse. We see it with the child support system, the marriage laws, and everything else. And this is the society that has been created. I guys want to see a view from where I'm at, where men are trained from birth to excuse poor behavior from women. And it's reinforced by an army of jellyback simp men. The law, society, the court system, the legal system, the media, everything supports this type of activity that men are forced to deal with in this society. I mean, even men shame men disrespect men. And many times these men do it because they want a pat on the head. They want a virtue signal. They want to demonstrate that, you know, it's masculine as a man to accept abuse. Or they'll step in there as a superhero hoping to score points with women so that they can get access to pre-owned, so they can simp for the gynocracy or the gynocentric environment. It's gotten to a point now where even when women are guilty with evidence, they try to spin the situation. Where they're horrible people, they try to reverse it back and take the attention on it because it doesn't support the narrative of men as these monsters.
That's a good point, though. Um, Actually, I remember I did a video from Effective Purposes channel, and he was talking about how 60% of assault cases, like I guess sexual assault stuff like that, 60% of those are false, which is interesting because there's never a penalty for the ones making false accusations and allegations that can mess up somebody's life. It's kind of interesting.
And they're trying to rewrite the script, excuse me, and make it a problem that men, or sweep it under the rug, or minimize it, you know. And they'll come up with all these false stats, statistics, because most of the incidents that happen against men are not reported, you see?
Yeah, that is true.
Because they've shamed men into being victims, silent victims. They don't report incidents. So the domestic violence numbers are skewed.
Yeah, because that makes you look weak, stuff like that. But then it's a lose lose because if you report that, then you're viewed as weak. If you were to defend yourself, which you're capable of doing as a man, then what? Then you the bad guy. That don't make no sense.
So it is a lot of situations going on in society where they've conditioned men to accept these humiliation rituals and to not fight back, to not defend himself. Because the moment he defends himself, he's going to be arrested, locked up, attacked, disrespected by other men, and probably even attacked by other men,
Hmm.
shamed, other men trying to score points, other men trying to simp for the gynocracy, other men's, you see it even now with the jellybacks, how they've ruined society, created a system of women with inflated egos, inflated sense of self-value, inflated sense of self-worth, A lot of dudes have created that in society.
You know what's interesting about that too is if you were ever used to be out there in clubs and bars. I know I used to be out there all the time, and you would see it even then when a man's making a good point about an issue between men and women. Like there's other men who are around that know he's right, but they'll sit there and try to jump up and go against him, even if it's not a physical thing, just verbally go against him, just because that's like, oh, well, I don't want to ruin my chance of getting with one of these women out here. They'll do stuff like that. But then when you talk to those men, like one on one, when those women aren't around or no women are around, or at least one that they ain't trying to get with in any way, then they'll tell the truth. See, that's fake. That's exactly what the problem is, stuff like that. And you shouldn't be out there trying to just sleep around anyway, but that's fakeness. Society is done for, man.
And that's not going to change anytime soon. Sometimes men themselves, write the scripts for their own torture because of the way they treat other men. And that is the failing that we see in society today. And that is one of the major problems that has to be corrected. Otherwise, there's never going to be any change. There's never going to be anything different
Yeah.
because dudes will give up everything, their self respect, their dignity, their freedom, being treated like a human being just to gain access for prey on, to get the approval of society. Until that change, nothing is going to change. And the only thing you can change is yourself. But she's just another one. But you see these humiliation rituals all the time online. Guys are subjecting themselves to this just so they can say that they're in a relationship.
Mm.
They got somebody with them. They're not alone. And only a weak man is afraid to be alone.
Yep.
Only somebody that has low self esteem is afraid to be alone.
Yeah, he's right about that. You ever notice too how they like to do this shaming of single men? Like that happens a lot in churches too, especially like Christian churches, probably other ones too. I don't keep up with all that. I don't go to church, so I don't. I just see the stuff online. I've seen like sermons and stuff, but they'll shame men for being by themselves, which don't make any sense. Like just because he said it, just because like in the Bible said, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing," but you're not supposed to be going out and seeking though. People think that, and that's not what it is. That's why it was written later on. I think Paul was writing in Corinthians. I can't remember his first or second Corinthians, where he said, if you might be Corinthian, First Corinthians, first or second, chapter 7, verse 27, around there. First or second Corinthians, I don't remember which one. But it says, if you are married, seek not to be loosed. And if you're not married, seek not a wife. So you're not supposed to be seeking. That's why I said a wicked man is given a portion of a wicked woman, and a godly man is given a godly woman. Given doesn't mean I have to go out looking for that. So people take that, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and they run with that. But you're not supposed to be seeking that. You're supposed to be getting right with the Lord. And then that will be sent your way if, if that's necessary. Because everybody don't need to be with someone. That's why it says that a man or the woman was made for the man, not the man for the woman. That's also written in there too. So I don't know why they're making this shaming men for being by themselves. Who want to deal with all that anyway? And when you look at society too, who want to be with someone who booty on display every day? Tight pants, jeans. I almost said some other words. Too much going on. Like if everyone can see what you got going on, I'm like, that ain't my woman. That's everybody's. That's the community's woman. They can see everything you got going on. Well, that ain't mine. That's for whoever. I'm just saying. I'm gonna play this video.
Only somebody who was raised to be an effeminate man has an issue with spending time alone. And that's the fundamental problem. It's not just it's a failure of society. It's a failure of manhood masculinity. And you
Yep.
superheroes,
Yep.
you only come to the rescue. You can see a woman beating the crap out of a man. You'll stand around and do nothing.
Yeah.
about the situation until that man fights back. You jellyback simps are the biggest problem with why we have this such an imbalance in the system. But you'll watch that man get his head bashed and beaten in. You won't do anything. But the moment that man fights back, the moment he defends himself, you women are just as bad. You co-sign on this behavior because obviously feminism is about creating a narrative and superiority. You don't want equality. You want to be, you want to be
Superior.
superior
Yeah. That's funny he said that. I said that same thing back in college. I'm 40 now, and I said this to my roommate back when we were going to Portland State University. It was like 20 years ago. I was 22, so it was 18 years ago. And I told him women don't really want equality, they want superiority. That's what they want. And he told his mom that, and she said, "Yeah, that's true." He was from Guam. His mom and dad live out in Guam. I think he moved back years ago, a long time ago. He moved back because this was 18 years ago. But that guy's right now, this dude's saying the same thing I said, and I was 22 years old saying that. 22 or 23. Mm,
to men. You want to be worshipped. You want to be exalted into the skies. You want superior rights. You don't want equal rights. You want superior rights.
yep, that's
You
what it
want
is.
privilege in a society, but you demand equality. But there's no equality in the current system.
No.
It's just a complete, the gynocentric gynocracy. And that's not going to change until men change that.
Yeah, he's right too. Look at when the assaults happen, excuse me, with the minors. Like if it's a male teacher and he's 30 years old or something, and you catch that person with a 15-year-old or something, that's serious right there. But if it's like these 31, 32-year-old women getting with these 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, they're not getting the same type of penalty. They're not even getting close to the same sentencing that those males get. That's interesting. I'm just saying.
It's not going to change until men change that. It's beautiful out here. So you cross your fingers and whatever else. But until men change, nothing's going to change, you know. But we'll continue to see these types of situations. They'll continue to be spin. Good morning, folks. And they'll continue to be turned around for these individuals who make themselves victims and men themselves. They will roll other men underneath the bus because all they're trying to do is gain approval, or probably if they simp hard enough or they virtue signal hard enough, or they pretend hard enough that it doesn't exist and the unfairness doesn't exist, that hopefully some woman someday will give them an opportunity to get access to pre-owned, or they'll get a pat in the head, the approval of the gynocracy, or an opportunity for some of the panda bears out there to make money. But at the end of the day, it still comes back to men because women are not going to change. Why would anybody give away power? Why would anybody give away a situation that highly favors them
Yeah, that's true though.
to be fair and equal and balanced? They're not going to do it.
Because you ever notice when stuff happens, women don't like if something is said. Let's say, well, what's a good example I can use here? Let's say there's a example where the woman's completely in the wrong, right? And other women they'll talk like about, oh, it's only they'll say it's most men, but it's some women. But then stuff like that comes up. Oh, well, that's just some women like that. No, actually, a lot of y'all like that. I'm not using an exact example, a specific example, I should say. I'm not doing that, but you can think of them yourselves because they always want to downplay when it's their stuff. But if it's the man, it's like, oh, that's most men, or that's all of them. But with women, oh, that's just some of us. We don't do all that. And no, actually, y'all do a lot. So stop lying. That's stuff I'm talking about. And you talk to some of them sorry simp men, even on YouTube, talk like that. They have the nerve to talk about they chosen and called. No, you chosen by Satan. I'm not listening to all that. Happy wife, happy life. Boy, I'll start cussing on here. Let me get back to the video. It's almost over.
You know. Good morning, ladies. So We have an issue with the superheroes out here rolling other men up underneath the bus. Until that changes, there'll be more situation like the Johnny Depp situation, like the track runner, and like this situation with the Bachelor. Not going to change. The biggest issue for men today is the jellyback simp. We got
Yeah.
a simp problem, and that's not going to be corrected. They're like termites, eating at the foundation of society. The
Yeah.
simps. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let's pick up some speed. I'm out on my walk. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Yeah. He's right about what he says. A good video. I believe the name of the channel was a peaceful life or something like that. I'll leave the link in the description. I was trying to keep this video fairly short. Um, I'm always trying to do that because people don't like to watch long videos. Some do, most don't. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to talk about. I wanted to let him do more talking than I did. I also think an issue comes from the way it's set up to where they think that the man's supposed to pursue the woman. If a man already got all these things he's supposed to be doing, because all they talk about is providing, right? They don't talk about providing emotional stability, just financial stability, financial security. They don't talk about emotional stability or spiritual guidance. That's why they run into Ouija boards, Christian Ouija boards, Jamal Bryant call them, and stupid stuff like this, astrology, zodiac signs, dumb stuff. You're supposed to be able to spiritually guide her. You know what's right or wrong because the first person you listen to is the Lord, because that's who's the head of you. So you know, and you're supposed to let her know because a lot of times they're quick to run to things like that. For real. Not all of them, but just nature, the natural thing. That's what they tend to do. But yeah, I just wanted to cover this video because if it's truly a mind over matter type of thing, if it truly is that, and it is, then the first thing the enemy's going to attack is the mind. That's where this conditioning stuff is coming from. And men got to stop sitting here siding with these women just to try to, like you trying to butter them up to get to that biscuit or something. You got to stop all that. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. So may the Lord continue to bless us all the way we need to be blessed, not the way we want to be blessed. And God willing, I will catch y'all later.